first panel of Boruto chapter 88 has officially been released, and to everyone's surprise, Jura and Hidari have arrived in Konoha, and it wasn't any typical pain type of invasion. Rather, they are calmly roaming around the streets of the village where no citizen can be seen. Maybe the whole village is still under evacuation due to the attack of Code. It's pretty wild to think that the events that happened in the last 8 months of the manga took place on the same day. This makes me think that there might be another smaller time skip on its way before we hit the events of the flash forward. Kawaki's transformation from this to this is not an overnight thing at all. There must be some major plot progression on its way, and with the arrival of Shinju's in Konoha, the countdown for the reveal of the greatest mystery has started. Before we properly dive into the next moves of Jura and the Shinju gang, let's talk about some interesting aspects of this panel. First and foremost, Jura looks a lot like Kawaki in these angles. It seems like the theory of him being a manifestation of Kawaki's chakra that was absorbed by the Renengan claw grind is actually true. Not to mention, this means that he also inherits the traits of Ishiki or Suzuki, which again explains the similarity in their appearance. Even Jigen, who was also the vessel of the same Otsutsuki, was once reading a book at the Kara hideout. So what if this thirst of knowledge that Jura has inherited actually belonged to Ishiki or Suzuki, and he's just reflecting that trait, cause for some reasons, it has dominated all the other goals in his mind. This explains how a library easily distracted him, and if you notice Hidari, he didn't even get inside the book place. He was more interested in finding Naruto than seeking the answers to his questions that he expressed earlier. I find it elegant for Kishimoto to let his characters enjoy some breathing space. He could have pushed them straight into a war-like situation, which is what a lot of fans want, but personally I want the characters to have these kind of moments where they explore their hobbies or interests. It helps to connect with the characters better instead of labeling them as monsters or destroyers. The Ten Tails is a completely different race than the Otsutsukis. They seem to develop intellect, which justifies their hunger for knowledge. Even though they were shown to go all out on Boruto, there is a good amount of chance for them to make tactful decisions and play wisely. The self-awareness is motivating them to be smarter, and I don't think they would engage themselves into any type of havoc or destruction. After all, they are chasing wisdom, and every wise person knows violence is never the solution. Moreover, I think there is a comic twist to Jura's character, cause he apparently broke the fourth wall to talk with the audience in this panel. I believe they will most likely pull the strings behind the main major events that are about to happen in the story. Almost all villains of Naruto who are not Otsutsukis are portrayed with complex motivations and backgrounds, which often blur the lines between good and evil. While their actions may be harmful or destructive, they are often driven by personal experiences, traumas, or misguided beliefs rather than pure malice. Something similar might be the case with the Shinju gang. They are slaves of their instincts and have no grudges against the Leaf Village or the Shinobi world. Their main targets have always been Boruto and Kawaki, and it's just their instinctive nature which wrapped Konoha into all this. Also, the fact that they were able to enter the village without anyone catching a trace of their chakra reinstates the fact that they are indeed clones of Konoha's residents, again pointing at Kawaki and Jura's connection, and I will get there in a moment. So the sole motivation of Jura in reaching out Naruto must be to find the answers to the questions that he's seeking. It's something that he couldn't find even after going through tons of books, something that only Naruto must have the answer to. So what could it be, and how would it help us to figure out the motivations of the other Shinjus? Well, as for Jura and his desperation of knowledge, I believe he's seeking the truth about his own kind that existed on the planet before. I'm talking about the 10 Tails that was divided by Hogoromo into the 9 Biju. Jura's instincts must be telling him to seek the truth about his race, and the reason he is searching for Naruto could be because of Kurama. Remember how Aida isn't able to watch the telepathic talk between Boruto and Momoshiki, which leads to the stoppage of time. It could be a hint that the Senringan isn't able to look at places which are constricted with time, or the events which take place in a person's mind. For example, Naruto's final talk with Kurama must be an example of such event, since it did not take place in the real world. This means even Aida, who has the all-seeing power of the Senringan, must have no clue about Kurama's death. There is no way the Shinjus must be aware about the whereabouts of the entity who shares the same blood as them. This is why Jura is so desperate to meet Naruto. He wants to know what happened to Kurama, and the Hokage is the only one who could answer this question. Even if they capture Aida to find out his location, there is no way they would have any knowledge about the fate of Kurama. So only Naruto can solve this mystery for the Shinjus, which is why he is so important to them. And upon getting to know about Kurama's sacrifice, that too for the sake of the Shinobi world, it would make Jura feel even more pity for his race, since they always get used by those who are superior. Firstly by the Otsutsuki clan, who turned them into a medium of evolution revolution, which led to the death of countless such entities. And upon hearing the case of Kurama, who died for the shinobi world since he was too attached to them, it would give Jura the perfect reason to plan his revenge on them. But instead of going all out on them, he would prefer the wiser way of doing things, which is to use an individual who craves power and has somewhat similar goals as him. And this could mark the beginning of the formidable alliance between Jura and Kawaki. The unreal glow-up of Kawaki is only possible under mentorship, and there is no one better than Jura when it comes to making Kawaki a formidable fighter. We will soon get into how this alliance of Kawaki and Shinju confirms the death of Kashin Koji, but before that, let me explain why it makes sense for Kawaki to shake hands with Jura. Firstly, the philosophy that the Shinju will come up with after learning about the loss of Kurama will make a lot of sense and could be really impactful to someone like Kawaki. Not only because it pays homage to his ideology of pain and suffering, but also because it's Jura who would be manipulating him. He is literally an incarnate of Ishiki talking to another incarnate of the same being. He must be really good at catching Kawaki's nerves, and since there is a history of the red karma wielder getting used and pretty much manipulated by others, it seems like he is destined to work under these superiors. The second big reason for Kawaki to get under Jura's wing can be found in the present power scaling of the story. Boruto has gone tremendously powerful in these 3 years, and Kawaki is literally no match for him. He needs to do something remarkable and unique to reach the level of his counterpart. There is a cap to the level of power that he can reach without a mentor. There is no way Boruto would have surpassed him without the help of Sasuke and Kashin Koji. The lack of a suitable mentor is preventing Kawaki from reaching his true potential. That's why his relevancy in the story is now dependent on outside factors. Like if Jura wasn't a part of the plot, Kawaki's best choice could have been to reach Amado for some power up. After all, he has the DNA of RKB in his karma that he can use as a leverage against Amado. But by looking at the present circumstances, the best thing he can do is to accept inferiority to Shinju's and join forces with them to surpass Boruto. The final factor in Kawaki-Shinju alliance arc is none other than the original puzzle piece itself, Naruto. The Daikokuten has indeed ensured his safety from Jura. However, this also means that the secret Jura is seeking shall be unveiled in some other way. So let's assume they are actually after the truth of Kurama. Kawaki apparently knows about the death of the Biju, so chances are Naruto is far from getting involved. Remember how Matsuri was able to tell the fate of Code with just a single glance. Chances are Jura will get to know about the character of Kawaki with just a look, and he would identify him as a perfect apprentice. Moreover, if the Shinjus can access the Daikokuten dimension, then it will be a piece of cake for them to corner Kawaki. They can use his beloved father figure as hostage to manipulate him against the shinobi world. The tragic story of torture faced by the race of Ten-Tails would make Kawaki connect with them better. On top of that, his tendency to accept the flaws of the shinobi system is very high, since he already perceives them as inferior. Now the question remains, what's the purpose behind destroying the village and ending the shinobi age? Is it a reformation of this system to establish peace, or maybe something even greater than that? Well, the chances for the shinobis to submit against those who are much more stronger than them, cause the power gap between Kawaki, Shinjus and the whole world is way too enormous. Kawaki from the future is at the perfect position to start a revolution, cause he's apparently on par with Boruto, otherwise he wouldn't be fighting him. Now whether their true purpose is peace or something else is a story for another time. For now, let's understand how Kashin Koji is destined to die as an aftermath of Kawaki's alliance with Jura. As I mentioned earlier, they both are the incarnates of Ishiki or Suzuki, which means they somehow follow his footsteps as well. Their personality traits and goal orientation is kind of same, so must be the paths of destiny that they will choose. The union of them both is predetermined by fate, so it's very likely that they will fulfill some incomplete resolve of Ishiki as well. As we know from the Otsutsuki's battle against Kashin Koji, he was about to kill him at that moment, claiming that his death was predestined by genes. This analogy of death is a straight reference to how Jiraiya died by the hands of Pain, who used these chakra rods that are identical to the ones summoned by Ishiki and Kawaki. So it's possible that Kashin Koji's death has been delayed, and he will die by the hands of Kawaki sometime in the future. It also makes sense narratively, since Kawaki would want to get rid of any help that Boruto is getting, and eliminating Kashin Koji will definitely impact him badly. Check out this video to know more about Kashin Koji's fateful impact on Boruto's life and how he is the ultimate child of prophecy. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.